Okay, I still use a lot of candles for my off-grid place, even though I've got solar and wind and whatever else. There's still times when I don't seem to have enough and I'll end up using candles. And what I mostly use is one of these Betty lamp. That's just an improvised Betty lamp made from a tuna can and a bit of wire, a little bit of aluminium foil as a better reflector. And I prefer these to the stick candles, which I'm actually going to build, because they I can use my recycled cooking fat, lard, tallow, and I can also use a lot of liquid vegetable oils. It still needs a bit of trimming, get it all working right, but just trim it up. And it burns for a very long time, and you can use lots of different oils and greases. I did a video several years ago now on how to improvise one of these if you're interested. It's up on YouTube there, and I also show you how to build it, and also I experiment with a lot of different oils and greases, so you can get a comparison. But I really like them. They put off more light than most of your stick candles, especially with the reflector. And I can just refill them, and a little bit messy playing around with the wick, but like that there, that would burn for hours, without too much attendance. Now that I've got it trimmed down. So anyway, making candles. So making stick candles. Making a candle is not very hard. Making a really good candle is an art form as far as I'm concerned, and I am not that good. I just basically, I'll make a candle, it'll work, take care of it, watch it, anyway. But there's a lot of variables that go into it. The type of thread. So I've got a couple of different types of thread there. One is a double strand twisted, and the other is a single strand twisted. And I've also got some heavy duty, it's cotton clothesline cord, which I'm going to try doing something else with the candle form. Easy to buy, very inexpensive when you buy it like that. If you go and buy your threads, to make your candles, that gets very expensive. So the difference between the two. I'm going to show you a wick formula, and thank you to Environ Molds from YouTube that they had this formula up there, how to make it. So yeah, lost my train of thought. The difference between the two. So just standard cotton thread, such as that, is what I've mostly used, and it works, it definitely works, but it's got some drawbacks. If you're just using the plain cotton thread, you're going to have trouble with the flame height is going to get too big or too small or whatever, and the candle's more likely to drip, and it's going to burn fast. So if you're using the candle, it's not too big of a deal, because you'll just, you'll trim it up, kind of what you just saw me do with the Betty lamp. You'll trim it up from time to time and keep that flame at a decent height. But a candle that you can light and it just burns down slowly, doesn't drip, doesn't smoke, something like that. People who are building these are either artists or really good engineers or something. Anyway, it's hard to make a very good candle. So one of the things I can do to improve my candle making success is by improving my wick. So instead of just using the plain cotton wick, I'm going to use this wick formula, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to soak the wick in this formula, and I'm going to rinse it out, then let it dry, and then I'm going to coat it in beeswax, and that's going to be the wick I use for my candles. And hopefully I'll get in and actually do a bit of an experiment between the new wick and the old wicks that I was using, and you can hopefully see the difference between the two. So the wick formula, make sure you can still see that. 1.5 cups of heated up water. You need 2 tablespoons of salt. Okay. And we need 4 tablespoons of borax. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so you just want to mix that all in, get it all dissolved. Spilling it everywhere. Alright. So once that's fully dissolved, get your wicks in there. Not going to stir around too much. I want them to really soak in that solution. So it should be left like that for 24 hours, and then you're going to pull it out of that, and you're going to rinse it off in clean water. You're going to let it dry, coat it in beeswax, and then it's usable as a wick, a good quality wick. So, okay, I'll leave that for a while. Oh. Put this stuff in too. I'm going to try making a giant paraffin candle out of that heavy clothesline cotton. So that's why I'm making that as well. Okay, what I'm going to try doing is making a tricky wick, and I'm waiting for the other wicks to finish, the actual wick to finish seasoning. So to make a tricky wick or a gag wick, you just need some cotton thread, same wick material, and this other stuff is just powdered magnesium, and I'm going to try and work that into the thread as much as I can. So I'm going to open up the thread, twist it, and just try and work these fine particles of magnesium into the wick. See that, but I'll twist it apart, the thread, and then I'll try and get the magnesium to. So what this will do, it's you know, the joke candles. I haven't seen them around for a very long time, but you know, where you could try to blow it out. You try to blow it out, and it immediately comes back to life. Could have some real world functionality in that. It could be a good wick for areas where you get a kind of a regular gust of wind that might blow out your candle. But it's also probably dangerous, because if you think you're blowing out the candle and it comes back to life, that could be a bad thing. But anyway, so this is a way to make it. You just work the powdered magnesium into the wick. Actually, I'll probably get a little bit more on it once I get some beeswax from this wick. That actually might help some of it stick as well. But definitely want to try and work some in. that for a sec. So I'm going to put some beeswax out of double boiler. Don't need very much. In a little tray of some sort. And I'm just going to soak it in. Gotta work fast here. It's gonna, there we go. Really soak it in. I'm going to heat that pan up again. So, I'm not sure if you can see that. Beeswax is just starting to get hard. No big deal. Just going to heat it up a little bit. And then I'm going to pull my wick out and try to get a little bit more. Now that it's got a bit of wax on it, it'll actually help stick that magnesium into it. Okay, so I heated up the beeswax, get it really soaked into the wick. And I'm going to pull that wick out. It's a little bit hot at the moment, but it's going to cool down very quickly. And once again onto the so I'm just trying to, any little bits of magnesium I can get stuck to the wick, and do that. Alright, and there it is. Finished wick for the gag candle. So yeah, now let that cool, then I'm going to make a candle out of it and show you how it works, if it works. So that's the candle I'm going to make. When I feed it through, I like to put a little piece of thin wire onto the wick, and it makes it easier to thread through the candle mold. Can't see that. Oh, there we go. And it got stuck in the end. Let's see if I can't wiggle it through. Alright, I'll try that again. Okay, film this, hopefully I'll get it this time. So just feed it in there gently. A bit of a twist, and that time I got it. And I just pull it through. Alright, so I've got the wick through both sides. I put a bit of a turn in this one. Just a bit of a knot. Okay. And then I'm just going to use this piece for the top. Not sure if you can see that. That's just a piece of wood with some holes through it. Just makes it easier to control everything. So there we go. Down through there. Okay. Just going to wind it around a couple of times. I'm going to cut that piece off anyway. So there's the mold. You see that? There's the mold ready for the gag candle. And I guess I should show you. You can make a double boiler fairly easily. And you are going to need, if you want to make candles, you are going to need a double boiler. That way, what it does, I've got water in the outside, water there. That's where my wax is, and it allows you not to overheat the wax. If you overheat the wax, you can get a grease fire or a wax fire, and they're very dangerous. So by having a double boiler, you can't overheat it, and it also, you can damage the wax. You can actually burn the wax by getting it too hot. So double boiler, very easy to make. That's just a coffee can or a food packaging can, a couple bits of wood, another one of my stainless steel cooking pieces on the outside, and there's my double boiler. So just let me double check you can see that. Yep. Alright. So then I get my ladle, beeswax, and just pour it into the bowl. There we go. Nice mold. Yep. I'll show you what I did with that. After I finished doing it, I just moved it over there and hung it on those nails, and that's where I let it cool. So, yep. So that's that one. Oh, I know another thing I wanted to tell you. There may be some. So what I used was beeswax, 100% beeswax, but there is a lot of different grades of beeswax. This one is going to be very dark. I do not care for my candles that I'm burning for light. It works just as well, and but what I'll do with my bees, there's two different grades of wax, beeswax. So that's kind of what I'm working with now. There's real dark brown, but not burnt. And this is some of my other beeswax, which is a very light color. And it just depends what the bees are working on, how they're making their wax, or how long the wax has been in the hive. So sometimes you will get some very dark wax, but it's still very usable for many purposes. I will say, even though this one here, I'll use it for my beeswax candles that I'm using just for light. This one here, much lighter, better quality. I'll use that for soap. I don't make much in the way of creams or anything like that, but this would be the stuff I'd use if I did. But definitely for soap, I try to use the best quality beeswax I can. Okay, so this is the gag candle. It's cooled down, nice and cool now. And now it comes time to get it out of the mold. An easy way to do that, just to cut this tip. So all I'm doing is cutting that top piece of, did you see that? Yeah. Anyway, I'm just cutting that knot that I had on the bottom. I cut it off. And then I sit the whole thing down in the hot water for the double boiler. So, yeah, it's still quite hot. So I'm going to sit that there for a second, and it's going to very lightly melt just the edge of the wax on the candle, and it should just slide out, I hope. In there for a little bit longer. Okay, that's It's not working. Really should. Finally, it's starting to move. I'm not sure why that was so much trouble for me. Normally you should just be able to put it in some boiling water and it should just slide right out just like that. But there is some sprays that you can actually spray the mold beforehand, and it's supposed to make it slide out easier. But anyway, that one's done. Now to test it out. Alright, so it's burning. Yeah, having a bit of trouble. It's not quite working as well, I don't hope, but it should still go. And it just caught back on fire. I actually gave it a bit of a blow, but try that again. Alright, so it's out. And it started again. I had to give it a bit of air for some reason, but anyway, that's the theory. Gag candle. starting to work a little better. There's probably places on the string where there's more magnesium than other, and that time I didn't have to blow it, it started up all on its own. Alright, just finishing up on the gag candle. The way they're supposed to work, like when you blow it out, you've got this little red ember, and that red ember, if it's got some pieces of magnesium in there, the magnesium will flare up brightly and actually start the flame again. That's the way it's supposed to work. And it is kind of working like that, but I think I could have maybe got some more magnesium into the wick, and possibly also maybe had some slightly larger pieces of magnesium. The way I made the magnesium, I had some old, I think it was from a printing press. Anyway, I had some scrap magnesium, and I just filed it off, and I just, just filed until I had enough to do the candle. But yeah, it's kind of working. Sometimes, not always. So in the background there, I've got these are my 4 wicks. I'm going to have those. They're just standard cotton, which is the way I normally do it. And I got you see that in the background, I got my treated wicks with the wick formula. Now they're drying. I did, you're supposed to wait 24 hours for them to soak, and I only let them soak for like 4 hours because I'm in a hurry. I want to try this out, but I will be soaking a lot more, and if this doesn't work, then I've got more that are soaking for a longer period of time. I'll be able to retry this, but I was really hoping to get this candle project done in the next day. It worked that time. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's what I like. Sort of wavered there just for a little bit, and then it just popped into life again. Yeah, that one might be done. Okay, so I got all the strings through. Better zoom back out on that. Got all the strings through. I've got to put the top part on, and then I can pour that. So the ones on the handle side, they're the ones that the wicks have been treated, and the ones at the back is just plain out wick. I did not give as much time as what the instructions said for that, so we'll see if we can notice a difference. Okay, so you want the wicks fairly tight, not super tight, just. So I've got a knot at the bottom that's going to hold the bottom in place, and I'm just going to use clothespins to hold it firm so it stays in the center of the candle. And if you don't keep it in the center, it's almost certainly going to drip, with or without these better wicks. Okay, so looks pretty good. Another thing I need. Okay, getting ready for the pour. So you might notice, you might not, because you might not be able to see it. Okay, the bottom of the mould is sitting in a very shallow tub of water. That's because the holes at the bottom of these things are quite large. And if I don't have a bit of water there, it just sometimes it can all just flow out. So if I've got a bit of water there, it doesn't seem to do that. It just means that the very start of the wick is wet till it dries out. So it's not a big problem. So I'm just ladling in. Oop, spilled a bit. Alright, there's the first two filled up. No, actually more than the first two. There we go. Alright, so they're all filled up. They're going to, as they cool down, they not expand, they contract. So there may be a little bit of a gap in the bottom there, but it's not a big deal because it just gets cut off anyway. So that's done, and now I just got to wait for it to cool. Let's see if the candle works. And it works. Good finale. Okay, so these front ones were the ones with the new wick, the treated wick, and the other ones are my regular, which is just plain cotton. Alright, so I'm just going to cut all these off. Something else I did that I shouldn't have done, well, something I should have done that I didn't do, is they recommended that you actually soak the wicks in beeswax before you use them. I didn't think I needed to worry about that, but like I said, this candle making's a bit of an art form, and so yeah, that may have some bearing on everything. Alright, I am just gonna do this the old way. see that? Gave up with using the hot water method. I thought I'd just use my blowtorch, and it worked. Alright, so the outside's cooled down a bit, and then I'm going to try lighting them. Because I used the bottom part, I had a bit of water in the bottom. The wicks, the tips at the top, are still going to be wet. So I'll just cut them down a little way and start them, and then I can test out which ones are which. Okay, the one on the right is with the treated wick. The one on the left is the standard, just plain old cotton wick. Like I said, the tips may be a bit wet, so it might take a minute or two for the burning to get going right. So far so good. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to move these. For a fair comparison, I'm going to need to get them out of the wind because there's a bit of breeze coming through here. So yeah, let's see if I can't move them somewhere else. Or maybe wait until dark for the light for the wind to stop blowing. Okay, the wind has finally died down. So I get to test out these candles, see if there's any difference between the two. The one on the right is the one with the new improved wick. The one on the left is the regular one. The little one in the middle is the gag candle. See the flame better now. Okay, I'm going to have to let them burn for a few minutes just to see if there's any difference, so I won't bore you with watching candles burn. I'm going to pause it and I'll be back in a few minutes. They're actually burning both about the same at the moment, so this is going to take a while before we start noticing any difference, if we do, except for, you'll notice the gag candle. It's got this little tiny flame, so that's the only sort of difference between them all. But these other two both seem to be working fairly well at the moment. But time will tell, and I think you'll start to notice more of a difference when they burn down a bit. This one I'm probably just going to leave the camera on to maybe do a little bit of time lapse, you know, speed up the camera or something or other. So the audio is not going to be there. Yep, both working really well. The one on the right, you know, with the new improved wick, seems to have a little bit less of a flame, maybe. The one on the left, actually pretty much both of them, it looks like they're getting ready to drip, but they haven't yet. So, anyway, like I said, this is, oh, nope, there it goes. Yep, we have drippage on the candle on the right, and that means it's just flared up, so it's got a bit larger flame now. Actually, the left candle is also dripped, so they both dripped. Okay, so when you want to, I've got my pocket knife here, there it is. So with just the regular wick, as opposed to the new one, what you need to do, you need to keep an eye on the candle, and if the flame gets too big, you're actually going to want to just come in and trim it off. So, and that's just, you want to keep a nice flame that's burning all the wax but not dripping. So the way these two are going at the moment, they look very similar. And like I said, I've got some wicks in there that I'm going to soak for a longer period of time and do it more according to the recipe. But as it is at the moment, they look like they're working about evenly. Let's see if this is going to go. It worked.